Hey guys, so today we have another review. This is Dale's Pale Ale from Oskar Blues. I've reviewed this well, not too long ago, within the last couple of years, and they've kept mostly the OG American style label. I really like it. Oskar Blues, 6.5% American Pale Ale. So listing this guy, Happy Beer. It's been around since 2002 apparently, so 20-year-old recipe, 21 years old now, right? And first off, I will say, there is a little bit of a misnomer that people think a pale ale is actually pale. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Dale's Pale Ale. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's not a very pale beer. They put it at I think it was like 8.5 SRM. Jeez, I'm so bad about this. Anyway, I forget. First off, hate. It's a little bit annoying with these Spiegelau glasses. It's a little bit hard to get in there, so not the cleanest glass. But anyway, I would definitely call this an easy. Medium deep gold color, almost leaning towards deep gold. I mean, solidly. Geez, I don't even know what that is. All right, interesting. Anyway, let's think of the beer. So, anyway, pale ale. Anyway, American pale ales are not actually that pale. Sort of like English pale ales. They're pale for the comparison of what beers used to look like, but in the general sense of what we think of macro lager and pale beer, pale ales are actually hoppy and not very pale. So, that's his lesson. Quite fresh. This was canned. Ooh, yeah, pretty good. Like a month ago. Yeah, a month ago. Wow, pretty good. And they always have like something on the bottom saying, and this is brooder. Nice. You get a little bit of that kind of like oniony, dank scallion thingy. I suspect there's possibly maybe Chinook in here or Columbus. I don't know. There's a little bit of that kind of juicy malt character, right? So that Sierra Nevada thing where it's like a little bit piney, but also like juicy malt, not like juicy like hazy IPA sweetness, more like malt. So it's like sweet. It's like brioche and croissant, like Danish, right? Like stuff like that's like sweeter baked goods in that range. Cookies, right? Like juicy sweet malt. A little bit of soily character in there, hint of citrus. A little bit of grapefruit peel, like almost like bruleed grapefruit peel, right? Classic American notes. Yeah, cheers. Oh wow, interesting. I always thought this beer had a little bit more soul and character to it. It feels a little empty. That's weird. What I mean by that is, first off, this is being produced out of Longmont, Colorado, Brevard, North Carolina, Austin, Texas. So they have multiple breweries. Obviously, they're part of the Canarchy, so they have Cigar City with them, and so multiple production facilities. What I mean by empty, there's the flavor of the beer is there, but the mid palate like just doesn't seem like there's much going on, right? If you had again, I always try to analogize like the experience of a beer being a roller coaster. Instead of giving an experience in the middle, it's just as if you were just imagine like the roller coaster just stopped and you're just sitting in a dark cave, right? Like there's nothing going on with the enjoyment of the roller coaster, right? So up front, this beer is noticeably bitter, right? The other thing is that it follows the nose. There's this kind of like oniony dang thing. I always noticed this beer, like when I was getting into craft beer, this was one of the general kind of like go-tos, and it wasn't an IPA, quote unquote. It was just a pale ale, and it just seems like Dale's. It has an easy label, and it was just. And I used to order this beer, and I was like, man, this freaking beer is freaking better. And even to this day, 6.5% ABV, 65 IBU. I mean, it's not a big beer, so it's basically IPA at 6.5%, right? It's pretty big, a little bit bigger than Sierra Nevada Pale, but it's more bitter than that. This is pretty much a mini IPA. Or I would also basically I would basically call it an IPA. If you full blinded me on this beer, I would suspect it's IPA. It just doesn't have the balance of pale ale. Generally, something like pale ale has a little bit more malt character to it. It's a little bit more nuanced in the bitterness. This is so stiff in its bitterness. It almost has the lingering bitterness. I'm thinking of beers like Arrogant Bastard and Sierra Nevada Bigfoot, right? Like classic American beers, big beers, but those are noticeably bitter. And this beer is, man, this is very, very bitter for 6.5%. It hits and it lingers. The noticeable thing is that not only is the bitterness like Like for 6.45%, yeah, it's a full bitterness beer, but it's not necessarily too tongue scraping. But it's long. The bitterness doesn't go away. It's a very lingering character. Up front, it has a little bit of that kind of diesel gasoline thing, a little bit of soil thing. Reminds me of West Coast, a little bit dirty. Again, like just round soil. There's a little bit of like sweet malt in there, but really that middle, I wish there was a little bit more malt character to it because they probably pulled back a little bit on the sweetness of the beer. I feel to like maybe modernize it. I don't know, but there's not much happening in the middle, and then it lingers to bitterness, right? Hmm. It is a very tasty beer, but again, if you like bitter and you want a little bit of a flashback, I highly recommend this. It just beers don't taste like this anymore. Like mono breweries just don't make beers that taste like this. Like if they made this, it would be easily a million times paler. It would be a lot more aromatic. It would use New World hop character, so you get like um, peach, pineapple, citrus, bright orange. All these like pretty fruits. The beer would be leaner. This is a pretty lean beer, so fine. Like malt character, like I don't get too much of it. And then the bitterness would definitely be stepped down. This is just old school. I suspect there was a little bit more malt to this beer, but they might have changed the recipe. But yeah, this beer is a freaking time machine. Like I don't know any brewery states that making beer that tastes like this. Actually, the beer at Stanford Brewing, our IPA sort of tastes a little bit like this. So honestly, it's awesome. Now I think of it. That's a rating. It's very good, but it lacks depth. It lacks complexity. It's a little bit one note on its bitterness, but it is a really fun kind of like experience to like try a beer that like sort of doesn't exist anymore, right? Nobody's really producing these. Like breweries have like died out that even produce these anymore. The brands have died out, and somehow this is still around. Still very tasty, but you let me know when the last time you had one was, and it's bitter. That's the most willing thing. They haven't stepped back on that. I would have suspected that like if they changed the recipe, they would have pushed back on bitters. I feel this beer is probably just as bitter as it was when I started tasting it like a decade ago. So you let me know. I like it. 87. That's Dale's Pale Ale. Let me know what you think. American Pale Ale. Cheers later.